So this time I have a question for myself. So, what if there's something I want to do, and what if I attempt it and what if I mess up? So what about that? Let's try to find an answer. The thing that I was thinking about and focusing on when this question came up, or when the emotion came up of what if I attempt something and I cannot meet my own expectation or something like that. The thing I was doing was intending to and attempting to produce one of these videos with a question, with a particular one. And I started off and it felt a little bit like nothing was coming, like mind just going blank, and I'm not really able to tune into the question. Like it just didn't make much sense, and then I started to talk about it from purely from a mind perspective, which is something, of course, that the mind can always do. It can always talk about whatever words it gives you, you give it. So I went back to writing, and I found out that I have this emotion that I'm afraid, what about if something doesn't work out for me? And I started writing down answers for myself, and what I got was really good. It was a nice flow starting, so I thought maybe I'll keep talking about it on video. And it's that it's things I want to tell myself when I'm afraid that something might not work out. So at this point I know that everything is working out for me. It's very evident that reality never, in programmer lingo I would say, throws an exception. It never, programs on the computer, reality never stops or freezes or crashes, or it's like cannot continue, please, or I don't know, there's nothing you can do now. Reality might end up not meeting my expectations, so something that goes on in reality might not meet my expectations, but first of all, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. It doesn't mean that something has gone wrong. It doesn't mean that the input that I gave this particular part of reality was wrong or inappropriate, and it doesn't mean that the output is inappropriate. So whatever a situation produces, whatever someone produces, whatever comes from anywhere, whatever you experience, any situation that you might have, it's never wrong. It's never, and even if it doesn't meet your expectations, it only means that your expectations were not very clever ones to begin with. They were not the most aligned ones. And it's very much to be expected that you have wrong expectations because you don't have all the data, you don't have all the information that you would need in order to actually fully align your expectations with, like this, you have a certain, let's say with the programming analogy, you have certain inputs, like certain actions you want to put in, and thoughts and whatever it takes, like a cake you want to bake. There are certain things you put in, and then you go through a process, do things with them, and then in the end there's your expectation, there's what you expect will come out of it, and in the example of baking a cake, you know, you want a cake out. But if you get something else in reality, it doesn't mean that you know you did something wrong necessarily. It's definitely a learning experience, or just an experience, and you can take from it whatever you want. If you have to learn something in the human way, like how to do something better, or to adjust your expectations, or adjust the process, whatever, you know, in a fun way, not in a, oh, these are the lessons to be learned way, but in a fun way, and so you can go through that, and whatever you get is also not wrong. And it's, yeah, what I wanted to say, come back to, is that you didn't have all the data in order to make your expectations right, so you didn't know exactly the cake that would come out of that, or, you know, whatever you're baking. And it's often, or actually, it's seldom a good idea. It would be seldom a good idea if you want to be a conscious, deliberate creator of your own reality. It doesn't even make so much sense to align all of your like your thoughts and beliefs with the expectations, or you don't want to change the input so you get exactly, you know, that thing that you're expecting. It's more about really figuring out and sticking with whatever it is you want to expect, whatever you imagine you want to get, whatever your actual goal or idea is, your imaginary perception of that part of reality that you want to influence. That's your job, that's your work, to keep that image in your mind, to like establish that as an expectation with every iteration, with every attempt, with every input-output process session that you get. Never deviate from that perspective, never deviate from attempting to create this thing that you imagine. Whatever reality does, whatever you do, whatever you think you have to do, it doesn't matter. Those are all just steps along the way. Those are all just steps along the way, and it's your work to never deviate from the vision that you have, never deviate from what your imagination has come up with, what you would like to expect. Always stick with that, and let the rest of the whole process just take care of itself, which it will. So there we go. That's all I had for the question about what about if something goes wrong. There we go. Thanks for listening.